Hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Leanne. I'm a Pilates and yoga teacher, online coach and personal trainer. If you'd like to work with me, the information is in my description. Today I'm going to be taking you through a Pilates class of 45 minutes. We're going to strengthen the back, mobilise the back, target the sides of the stomach and back. When you are holding a heavy bag, there's a muscle called the QL that keeps you upright. We're going to be strengthening that and stretching it because it can get quite tight, preventing lateral movements like this. And I hope that you'll feel stretched and warm at the end of this class, along with some relaxation and pranayama. Let's get started on the mat. Spreading your toes like monster munch, small bend in the knees, rib cage in, belly button into spine, standing tall. Imagine you've got a cord to your crown of your head and it's pulling you up to the sky. Left leg comes up, knee up and back into a lunge position, sitting back in the lunge, taking your time all the way up, all the way down. We're looking for a stretch in the back leg and the front of the hip flexor. Exhale, coming down. Make sure you're wide enough widthways and lengthwise for balance. This is for a stretch in the back leg more than anything. We'll do one more. Good, and hold up on your last rep for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, come down. We want to go into a stretch. So bend at the knee, pushing the hips forward. Arms rise if you want to increase the stretch. And be aware of where that you're feeling that stretch. It should be along the left side. Can you get your arms over your head? Inhale, back to Tadasana, standing position. Again, just right leg now. Inhale and exhale, coming down, looking for about 8. Looking for that stretch in the back leg at the front. If you're feeling that this is hard and you're struggling, why is that? It's challenging in a good way. One more, and you've got the option to hold at the top. Deep breaths, 3, 2, 1, and back in the lunge. Arms rise over your head if you can. Push them. Elbows right back. Notice what muscles engage to keep them like that. Excellent. Back into Tadasana. Asian squat. So toes slightly pointing outwards and knees come and track over the middle of the toes, but your knees don't go past your toes, okay? Opening the hip area. Pushing your knees out with your elbows, deep breaths, feeling a stretch in the inner groin, and up, and down, and up. One more. Another hip opening. We're going to triangle, so as wide, about 1.5 width of your leg stance apart. Excellent, Katie. Right leg comes out to the side. We're bending in that leg that's just come out. If you want to make it harder, you can straighten both legs. But to start with, you can see how it feels. First, hips shift back, push them right back, and you should feel a stretch in the inner thigh there. You can keep your hand on your leg, or you can have it track down onto the floor. But arm over your head into the triangle, and you can use your leg as purchase to turn you around. And you'll feel this nice twist. Keep pushing them hips backwards in space. Deep breaths. One more. Inhale to rise. Well done. Let's switch to the other side. Okay, bending at the leg, hips shift back, opening that space. Looking at your arm over your head, challenge your balance, feels good. You can straighten that leg if you want to increase the stretch, but keep them hips pushed back. One more deep breath, strengthening the neck as well here. Excellent. Coming back up to center. Tree pose next. Standing in Tadasana, deep breath. Center. Maybe moving the knees forwards and backwards, noticing a bit of more space between the hip area. You can get very tight. Starting position, shifting your weight over to the left leg. Pushing your knee out by squeezing your bum cheeks, switching them on. As you start in position, then you can come underneath your knee. Soft knee on the stabilizing leg. Deep breath, stand tall, focus on one part. Focus on the wall or the ceiling. And if that feels good and you're nice and still, and your knee's still out to the side, you can come above the knee. You can bring your arms out to help with balance. If you want to challenge balance, bring your arms over your head. Deep breaths, filling them lungs. Pushing that knee out to the side, opening the space here. One more deep breath. Excellent. Good. Careful coming down over to the other side. Pushing the knee out to the side to start. And then under the knee. Squeezing the bum cheeks, switching them on, pushing the knee out. If that feels good and nice and still, come underneath, above the knee. Arms out to the side. And if you want to challenge further, keep pushing that knee out, opening that space in the inner groin. Good. One more deep breath. Excellent. Shaking off those knees and hips. From Tadasana, just going to walk out to a down dog. I'm not going to spend too long in here. Just going to paddle the feet out. We're going to do this one to see how you compare at the start of the session versus at the end when you're nice and warm for that education in your body. So hips up to the sky, so untucking the pelvis, the tailbone. Right leg comes up and back into three-legged dog, then right leg joins left hand in dragon. Or you can come into a low lunge if that's more comfortable for you. This is an intense stretch, but it's up to you how long you want to stay in it. You can come in and out of it whenever you like. Or if you want to make it more intense, straighten that back leg a little bit more. Flex the foot, coming onto the ridge, pushing the knee out to the side. I'm not sure we've done this one before. I've done it a couple of times at night. So we're going to bring some movement into this stretch. Hips stay still, coming forward on an exhale towards the knee and then away from the knee. So opening up the hip area and you're feeling a nice stretch along the back. Inhale away, exhale as you come closer to the knee. Finding movement in an intense stretch helps with flexibility. Take your time, looking for about 10 reps. Moving forwards, left to right. Deep breaths to tell your brain that everything's fine, nice and relaxed. Good. When you finish your last rep, if you want to work on more flexibility in the back leg, straighten that leg at the back a bit more. And the option is to come on down onto your elbows. Notice how this feels and where you're feeling it. Are you even able to come down on both elbows at this point? Last night I could, but this morning I can't, and that's fine. Because we're still quite cool yet. I'm not going to spend too much longer. Then from here, I'm going to shimmy your foot into the center. Hips get sent back into a split, half splits. You're going to come up. So we're not bending in the lower back here. We're shifting our hips, and that's giving us a stretch. So keeping a slight bend in the knee. This is a balance as well. Make sure you're wide enough for the balance. Toes up to the sky. And then moving with the hips forwards and back. I'm going to pulse ever so slightly, and you'll feel a high hamstring stretch. That's what we're looking for. We're not bending, so the back is nice and flat and protected, core switched on. Another 3. It's quite an intense stretch if you're tight in your hamstrings, which most of us are. 2 more. 1 more. Good. I'm going to come back into the down dog. Paddling them heels out if you can get the heels onto the floor. Good bend in the knee for less on the back, or straighten the legs to make it more challenging. Hips up to the sky. Notice the space in the hip joint and how different it feels on that side now. Left leg now, the other side, up and over, then into dragon on the other side. Let's see how we get on at this side. Settle in and take a few seconds. Deep breaths help. Untuck that back foot. Deep breath. Flexing the ankle onto the ridge, knee pushes away, then fall left and right. Exhale as we move closer to the knee. Hips stay the same and they're quite still. But you notice on this side where you're feeling the stretch. So I know I'm tighter around the right hip, so I'm feeling that more. Lean into the stretches. Deep breaths. Exhale as you come closer to the knee. Inhale as you move away. Good. And enjoy the openings and the stretch feeling. It shouldn't be painful. If it is, you've just gone too far. So bend more at the back leg. You can come in and out of it as much as you like. On your last one, try, so straighten that back leg a little bit more if you can, and then onto your elbows. Can you do it on this side? Deep breaths. Massive hip opener, this one. Now on the next inhale, shimmying over, making our way over to a half splits. So make sure you're wide enough for sending the hips back, toes up, hips back to feel that high hamstring, chest proud, cores engaged. And we're bringing a little pulse from 8 to 10, ever so slight, bringing in movement in this intense stretch. Good. Two more. One more. Good. Making our way over to cat-cow. Feel free to grab a drink. So let's see how cat-cow feels. So spine to ceiling. Exhale and inhale in the cat. Notice where you feel any tightness or stiffness. The stiffness should go as you begin to mobilize the spine. The first thing that moves should be the pelvis, the hip, and the last thing should be the neck. Good. From here, we're going to go into thread the needle. So left arm comes back as far as you can for 2 pulses, working the posterior shoulder, strengthening it, and then stretching around as we thread the needle. I'm going to go for 10 to 12. 1, 2, pulse for time under tension, and then threading. Good. So we don't do much of this movement in everyday life, and it's often where we slip, almost slip, or injure our back. So it's important to stay mobile and work through any stiffness and tightness. Another 5. You should start to feel a warm sensation in the back of the shoulder. Think about your shoulder blade with that left arm that's coming around and moving it towards your spine. Because you could do this really without engaging your shoulder blade and using it. That's how we can get rounded shoulders. Another 2. Just taking your time. Good. The last one, when you finish, you want to keep that threaded. Extend the arm over your head. Trying to relax. Deep breaths. You can, as long as you make sure that your chest isn't caving into the floor, keep it back. Tuck that arm in your back pocket if that feels okay. Enjoying the twist. Deep breaths. Tells your body to relax. Releases tension. Good. The same arm that you've just been doing thread the needle with is now going to go forward and to the side and forward to the side. So we want to keep it as high as you can, ideally to shoulder height. Your head faced down towards the mat. Core's engaged, deep breaths. Shoulders down away from ears. You'll start to feel that warm sensation in the back of the shoulder again. Another 3, 2, 1. Good, and then the arm stays up in front of you for bird dog hold. Engage that core, rib cage tucked in. You've got your core engaged, like someone's punching you in the stomach, you don't want to feel it, you're braced. 3, 2, 1, release. I'm going to hold that thread the needle stretch. Good. Two big deep breaths. You can tuck that arm in your back pocket. The strengthening and stretching exercises work fantastically together. We're having a holistic approach. Good. I'm going to see how we get on with the other side now. So thread the needle, 10 to 12. Don't forget your pulse. As far back as you can. Having your gaze follow your hand. Can you feel that core engagement? Another 3. If this is a weaker arm, just be patient with it. You might need to reduce the range of movement. You might need to have a pause. Try your best to get the same amount of reps. Good. And we're going to go into stretch and thread the needle on the other side. You can tuck that arm over your head, round the back or between your thighs. Deep breaths. Allowing yourself to feel that stretch in the body. Good. The arm that we've just used to thread the needle. Core's engaged, comes out in front and to the side, shoulder height. But push your shoulders down away from your ears. You can tense up if you keep tension here. And deep breaths, distributing your weight evenly over the left and the right side still. 3, 2, feeling that burning. 1 option, hold into bird dog, core engaged. Deep breaths. Excellent. 3, 2, 1, release. Final stretch in. Thread the needle. Arm in your back pocket. Excellent. Making our way over to our bellies with some back bends and hip flexor stretching and opening of the front. And strengthening the muscles next to the spine, taking pressure off the spine, improving posture and strength. So we're going to start with dorsal raises. So you're pushing your belly off the floor, elbows right back and down. To make it more difficult, if you like, you can bring your feet off the floor as well, adding more load to the lower back. And notice where you start to burn, because that's where your weakness is. and you're strengthening these areas. If you've never done this before, leave some in the tank. You want to get a little burn and then just pause and see how you are the next day. Don't go all out if you're not used to doing this one. Inhale, coming out. Exhale, return. Another 5. And you've got the option to hold. 3, 2, and hold. And as we hold, we want to tap them feet for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. And then we're going to come into a Sphinx. So elbows directly under your shoulders. For another back bend. Deep breaths. You should feel a stretch in the base of your back. You're just trying to relax. Your thigh muscles, your abs might switch on. Just let them sink into the floor. Deep breaths. And then we're going to return back down. Hips come back for counter pose, child's pose. You can feel the tension melt away as you push your bum back onto your heels. So what we're doing here, we're getting nice and warm, so it's nice and safe to move the spine in all these different directions, and it should be able to do, reducing stiffness over time and increasing fluidity. Excellent. I'm going to make our way over and do that once more. So feel free to do the dorsal raises again, or you can do these 3 exercises that are slightly more challenging for you. So dorsal raises or angels. So floor is lava, keeping up big circles with the spine coming up. Squeezing the bum cheeks as you come up, protects the lower back. Stop and start as much as you need to. Another 5. There's more weight added to the posterior, making it more strengthening. If you get your protein, make sure you're eating at least 100 grams of protein a day. It's going to be hard to build muscle and tone without it. Another 2, if you can. If it's burning, it's working. Excellent. You've got the option to hold, back, and toe tap for 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Then you've got the option to come into Sphinx or Seal, pushing back, extending the arms, squeezing the bum cheeks, protecting the lower back, but feeling that stretch in your lower back. In the base of your back, it's quite deep. Try and breathe into it. What a tune. Inhale, coming back down, pushing the hips back into child's pose. Feeling that tension melt away again. Excellent. Drink break if you want one. Last exercise before moving on to some core work. I want to finish with more hip openings, mobility and strength. I'm going to tabletop. If your wrists are a little bit sore, try moving them a little bit further forward than your shoulders, or you can go on to fists. Totally up to you. We're going to start with distributing your weight evenly as much as you can. Limb disassociation, so just moving one knee. Big circles as high up as you can. Really gets into that hip joint. So it's a ball and socket joint. It's got loads of ranges of movement, but it gets quite tight from all the fibrous tissues holding it together and supporting it. So you can really feel yourself getting into there and getting it warmed up. Another 3, 2, take your time. Excellent. You've got the option to release or to pulse for 8. As high up as you can, keep it. Burn, burn, burn. 2, 1, release. Well done. Over to the other side. Just doing one set of these. Make sure it counts. Clockwise or anti-clockwise. Core engaged. You've got tension in it. Can you feel the tension in it? 2, 1, release or pulse. 1, 2. Excellent. Well done. Go nice and wide. Child's pose, feet together, as wide as you can. You'll feel inner groin stretch to finish the hip opening part. One more big deep breath. Excellent. Moving over to our sides of our stomach. Some core. Is my yoga? Okay. Elbow directly under your shoulder. So this, we've worked a bit of shoulders today. So this is strengthening the shoulder. So if you do end up fatiguing or it's burning too much, just come out, shake, have a few seconds rest, then back into it because you are strengthening it. Push the hips forward so you're all in one line. Coming all the way up, a little bit higher than parallel, so you've got a curve in the side of the stomach. And hip touches the mat again as you return back. Good. Openings of the hip flexors again. Good. Another 5, then you've got the option to hold. 1 second up, 2 seconds down roughly. You can also help your hand, use your hand, to help you up. Reduces weight there. 1 more, and then hold. Deep breaths. 3, 2, 1, and release. Good. Knee comes forward, that was just towards the floor, or the knee at the top comes back. Inhale to rise. The side that we've just worked is getting stretched. Ideally, your arms should be over your head, shoulders down away from ears. Allow yourself to feel that stretch. If you want a bigger stretch, look at your thumb. Pushing your hip into the floor away from your rib on that side. Good. And do that again. Got the option to do 15 and a 15-second hold. Totally up to you. Yeah, I'm feeling that in my shoulder already. Burn, burn, burn. Another 3, 2, 1, and hold. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release. Let's try and get into a little bit of a deeper stretch if it feels good. Inhale. Pushing them shoulders down away from ears, looking at your thumb. Excellent. Let's go over to the other side. So everyone's got a weaker side. This might be a stronger. This is my tighter and weaker side. So elbow directly under your shoulder, pushing your hips forward and begin. Looking for 10 to 12 the first round. Working deep muscles in the back here that keep us upright when carrying an unbalanced load on one side. Another 2, and the option to hold and hold. Make sure you're putting the weight in the sides of your stomach. The glute can, like the side of the bum cheek, can overtake this exercise. It can take practice though. Deep breaths and release. Bottom knee comes forward. So the first stretch you might not get into very deeply, but the next stretch you might more. Exhale as you move over. Good. Pushing your hip down away into the mat. Excellent. Last round. This is a common one that you feel the next day. Don't do much of this. Looking for 15 if you can. Another 5. And option to hold for 15 seconds. Deep breaths. Strengthening the sides of your neck as well. 5, 3, 2, 1. Release. Well done. See if we can get into a deeper stretch. Notice how it felt last time. How far over you possibly were looking at your thumb. For stretching the neck after you've just been strengthening it. Trying to get your arm over your head. Really opens up everything. Excellent. Making our way over to our backs. The semi-supine position. I'm going to go into the bridge position. Rib cage in, belly button into spine. Have a poke around, make sure you've got tension in the core. Get used to how that feels, because that helps build my muscle connection. So you will no longer need to poke around and just know how it should feel when it's switched on. Squeeze the bum cheeks and engage the lower back as well. You should start to feel warmth in the lower back as you hold this position. And hips should be as high up as your thighs are, ideally. Weight should be in the heels of the feet, not the toes. And we're going to pulse for 10 reps. So coming down slightly and pulse up for 10. Really squeezing the bum cheeks. 4, good. 6, keep that core engaged. 9, 10, and release. Apanasana, bringing the knees in for a hug and roll side to side, but keeping the tailbone on the mat. Good. Next, legs are up in tabletop, so straight as you can get them. Rib cage in, belly button into spine. The lower back curve is pressed into the floor, so you've got no curves in the back. And bring our hips up off the floor using the movement in the hips. So curving up and down in the lower back. Coming down with control. So you might be able to get your hips right off the floor. You might not be able to get them off at all, but keep practicing and that it'll come. 10, 9, really feel where you're feeling this burn, because that's where you're toning in your core. 5, 4, it should be below the navel, belly button. 2, 1, excellent. Hug and roll. Back into bridge. No, hold. Squeezing the bum cheeks. If you want to come like if you want to work on more back bends, hip flexor stretch and back strength in the midsection of the back, try and bring your hips up even higher, tucking your shoulders under, opening the chest. Good for posture, and you'll feel the tension in your lower to mid back and glutes. And from here, I'm going to bring in that pulse for 10 reps. 5, 4, 2, 1, and release. Well done. Apanasana, counter pause. Well done. Legs up in tabletop. Hip kicks, looking for 15. Where's that burning? 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug and roll. Up. Next, we're going to shift our hips over to the right, knees over to the left for spine twist. So we'll look in the opposite direction what your knees are. Settle in. Allow yourself to feel that stretch in the base of your back. So we're nice and warm, everywhere really, but the lower body and back predominantly. So it's safe to stretch. So you might want to stay here if you're feeling quite tight in the areas around your hips and lower back. Or if you want to add more weight into a stretch in the lower back, extend and straighten that top leg. You can hold on to it with your left hand underneath, around the back of it. You might feel this stretch now in your glute. I want you to use your deep breath. Inhale, push your belly out. Fill in the lungs, will bring out the stretch a little bit, but then the next exhale, you'll feel tension removed from the muscles and you're able to sink further into the stretch and the mat. Your job in stretches is trying your best to relax the body and feel it in a safe way. Lots of big deep breaths. It also tells the mind that everything's fine. You can relax the muscles. Gets you out of any stress responses and tension. One more deep breath. Good. And the next inhale, bending both knees, shift the hips over to the left. Take your time if you're a bit stiff. Settle in. Just because you could on one side, you might not be able to on the other side this week. Every side's different. And if that feels okay, extend your leg. And notice where you're feeling on this side in comparison. This might be your tighter side or the opposite. Two more big deep breaths, pushing the belly out, feeling the rib cage rise, trying to relax the body in this stretch. You start to feel it more, and it'll also ease off. Excellent. Moving over to the side your knees are faced. I'm going to come up into a down dog. So this next part is literally to compare where the start of your dragon was and where it is now, because I'm quite confident that you'll see a difference if you were tight. So we'll paddle the heels out. Hopefully feel a warmth and a stretch in the back after all of that. Left leg up and over for three-legged dog into dragon. Settle in. Deep breaths. You might notice you're a bit more fluid with your movements now. Untucking that back foot. I'm going to hold on to the side of the knee, come forward, the left and right, closer to the knee and further away. And feel the stretch opening in either side of the legs area and above the hips. If you wanted to, you can come in and out of this whenever you want. If you wanted to attempt coming down onto your elbows, straighten that back leg a little bit more onto the ridge of your foot, pushing your knee out. There might be some improvement there with your depth, but it also takes time as well. It's patience, and it can matter how much water you've had this morning, how you slept, if you've had a stressful week. One more deep breath. Try and sink in. Shouldn't be painful, just discomfort. Next, inhale. Left leg comes back into down dog. Notice how that feels on both legs now, around the hip area. Is there any change? Right leg now comes up and over into dragon. Settle in. Untuck that back foot. And then we're holding the inner thigh above the knee. Left and right, moving closer and further away from the knee, pushing the knee away, opening up that hip on the right, creating space in the joint. Feels good. If you tell yourself it feels good, it'll feel good, right? Brainwashing yourself. Good. When you finish the last rep, straighten that leg a little bit more for that hip flexor stretch. And then elbows on the mat. See if you're a little bit further down. And if you get your elbows on the mat, it's a nice stretch in your back, in like the lat area, which is the biggest muscle in the back. Holds a lot of stress as well. One more deep breath. Excellent. Pushing back into a down dog. Paddle those feet out, feel the stretch in the hip flexors. Untucking the tailbone, sending your hips up to the sky. Good. And lastly, making your way to any seated position. I feel like we got through a lot today. For some pranayama, relaxation, breath work, to hopefully relax the central nervous system, so any stress responses that you may be stuck in this week, maybe overwhelm, certainly feel it with the kids going to school, so it's time now to stay present with the body and mind. So deep breath in, sitting tall. I want you to fill the lungs completely, hold the breath in your lungs, and then slowly exhale. It's calming. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1. Sitting tall, like books stacked in your vertebrae. Shoulders down, chest proud. Filling the lungs. If you want to be more relaxing, increase the exhale to a count of 5. Breath is the anchor of the mind and helps everything slow down and brings calm and peace. Every time your mind wanders, bring it back to the breath in the count, how your breath feels in the body as it enters, the cooling, the warmth it feels as you exhale. Are you filling the lungs? Namaste, hope you sleep well tonight. Thanks for coming.